Good morning to all, and I am very thankful to organizer for allowing me to give my this lecture. Today's my lecture is opioid-free anesthesia, or I am doing opioid-free total intravenous anesthesia. I call it is a future modern anesthesia. So my disclaimer is I have no financial relationship with any commercial interest related to the content of this presentation. I will discuss many medications with my experience and recent developments in OFA. OFA is one of the technique for providing anesthesia, and OFA is a scientifically based and systemic treatment to the surgical patients in perioperative period. This is my disclaimer. So what is my lecture outline? Introduction, history, definition, why and how OFA started, opioid epidemics in medicine, opioid risk, use, abuse, side effects and complication, opioid epidemics in anesthesia, OFA goals, OFA benefits, methods of OFA, opioid-free anesthesia, indications and contraindications, multimodal and intravenous drugs for OFA and their infographics, standard OFA induction and maintenance, how we are giving OFA, my experience and technique of OFA and Optiva with economics, conclusion, your take-home message, my verdict on this lecture, cartoons, thanks, and join Indian Society of Opioid-Free Anesthesia on Facebook. So let's start with my lecture. On introduction, the practice of anesthesia requires a full spectrum of the drugs we learned in our anesthesia residency program, and from which an anesthetic plan can be implemented to achieve the desired level of surgical anesthesia, analgesia, amnesia, and muscle relaxations. And opioid is one of them drug from giving anesthesia. And the epidemic of opioid abuse is increasing, and the number of deaths secondary to opioid overdose is also increasing. So for patient safety, anesthetists have started developing protocols centered to minimizing or even avoiding opioids for their patients altogether in their practice. So opioid-free anesthesia is a technique where no intraoperative, systemic, neuraxial or intracavitary opioid is administered during the anesthetic period. And the new normal came. OFA became possible because of the alternative to opioid anesthesia. Other drugs are available, providing benefits to selective group of patients. It facilitates the post-operative analgesia and no opioids without opioids. And it major thing is it enhances the recovery after surgery without post-operative nausea and vomiting. You know how the history started in opioid. Opioids are since millennium. Up till 50, it was not reported. But from 50 to 1960, history of synthetic opioids started, and Belgium was the first country to use fentanyl in 1962. And from 2002 to 2020, in last 20th century, many studies have questioned this practice, highlighting the many unknown side effects of the opioid. So opioid-free anesthesia were developed in parallel with the better understanding of perioperative pain and has emerged as a new technique and branch of anesthesia. So OFA is not far away. It is just last 20 years it was developed. By definition, OFA is a technique in anesthesia portfolio with the simple cocktail of the drug without opioid. In other words, it is multimodal anesthesia and analgesia without opioid in perioperative period, not pre, post, or intraoperative, but throughout the patient's admission. Why and how OFA developed? Because of the slowly progressing opioid epidemics in medicine and anesthesia. Opioid epidemic started, and people were started thinking the opioid-free medical practice or opioid-free anesthesia practice. How opioid epidemic came in the medicine? Because destructive consequences of the opioid epidemic were included the opioid misuse, related overdose, and rising incidence of the opioid use and misuse during the pregnancy also, during labor pain. Opioid overdose accounted every year more than 1 lakh deaths, and estimated 40% of the opioid overdose deaths involved in the prescription period. And healthcare providers begin to prescribe opioid at a greater rates. You won't believe that even one surgical patients are given more than 50 fentanyl or 50 morphines during her stay for 10 days. So since 2000, increase in opioid use, misuse, and overdose started, an opioid crisis or opioid epidemic began in the USA, spread to Europe, and then extended into Asia, even in our country also. So increased prescription of the opioid medication led to widespread misuse of both prescription and non-prescription opioid in medicine. So because of this opioid epidemic, opioid overdose deaths increased, and you won't believe that every day 128 people are dying because of the opioid overdose. These are the only US data. So consider the whole world. And more than 50,000 deaths are occurring in USA only because of the opioid epidemics. So there are three waves in the opioid overdose. First wave came in the 1990s, second came in 2010, and third came in the 2030. In 1990, it began with the increased prescription of the opiates with overdose death. They involve the prescription opioid, semi-synthetic or synthetic or natural. This increasing since last 1990. You see all this fentanyl, then remifentanil, sufentanil, alfentanil, all became available after 2000 millennium. So 2010, the second wave came, begin with the rapid increase in the opioid overdose involving heroin. And in 2013, begin with the significant increase in the overdose death involving synthetic opioid, particularly involving fentanyl. And these are the list of the morphine derivatives that are called opiates or narcotics. And what are the opioid risk benefits? Because opioid, how opioid gives these complications? They cause respiratory depressions, need for post-op ventilation with ventilator-associated pneumonia. It causes addiction. Most important complication is nausea and vomiting, gastrointestinal dysfunction, particularly ileus, pruritus, urinary retentions, opioid and cancer. Dozens of publications are available concerning opioid use in anesthesia causes cancer growth, recurrence, and metastasis. So in onco surgery also, I want to tell you that avoid the opioids. And one of the major factors is opioid-induced hyperalgesia, most common even in single dose. I will come with the hyperalgesia means. What is the hyperalgesia? Hyperalgesia means abnormally heightened sensitivity to pain. Once you had given the opioids, then you have to give the opioids. And if you withdraw the taking opioids from the patient's routine treatment, then patient started highlighting the more pain without opioids. So we have to give again opioids, or we have to give other drugs for pain eliciting. So misuse, abuse, and overuse started. And these are the from textbooks. These are the main complications. So what is opioid-induced hyperalgesia? It is a state of nociceptive sensitization caused by the exposure to opioids. Patient becomes more sensitive to certain painful stimuli. Patient have a prolonged period of hypersensitivity to pain. It occurs even after single dose of opioid. And ketamine reduces opioid-induced hyperalgesia. Here I want to tell you my own story. 1 month back, I went for the spine surgery of L1, L2 because of the acute disc prolapse. And after operations, I was prescribed the Contramol, means this is the Tramadol 50 milligram thrice a day in a TDS. And I had taken that tablet for 7 days. And when I went for the stitch removal, after means I have taken 10 days. Then when I went for stitch removal, then surgeon told me, my spine surgeon told me, just now stop the Contramol taking. And on the second day, I started a excruciating pain in my body because of thigh pain, back pain again. So I was nervous. At that time, I told my surgeon, then I'm getting pain. So he told me, you start again this Tramadol. But instead of that, I started my Mocha ice cube, means ketamine ice cubes I started. And you won't believe that 2 ice cubes I have taken on empty stomach. And literally, I got 100% pain relief within 2 hours. So that is a ketamine reduces the opioid-induced hyperalgesia. I will come to Mocha ice cube later on in my slide. So, but some opioid benefits also are there. It is not like that opioids are totally gone drug. First, why we are using it? It gives the hemodynamic stability. It gives the analgesia and little sedation. But anesthesiologists are also responsible for the overdose. First, in preoperative period, exposure to opioid, we are prone to give 1 or 2 doses of the opioid in our OT. And acute tolerance and hyperalgesia increase the opioid requirement even post-operative period. So we prescribe in post-operative period also 2 opioids to our patients, surgical patients. So we are responsible post-operative also. Even post-operative, when patients are discharged at home, there were no control of the opioid taking by the patients, and patient takes himself this. Finally, causes the abuse and sometimes death. And opioid epidemic in anesthesia gives because of the 3 features in anesthesia. That is, opioid analgesic overdose can have life-threatening toxic effect in multiple organ system. All organs are involved. Normal pharmacokinetic properties are often disrupted during an overdose and can prolong the intoxication dramatically. And the duration of action varies among opioid formulation, and failure to recognize such variation can lead to inappropriate treatment decisions, sometimes with lethal results. We are just giving like somebody is giving fentanyl, it gives good result. Somebody is giving contrama, it gives good results. So we are following that criteria. That is very bad. Why opioid are or were used in anesthesia? Because opioids are primarily used initially because of their safe intraoperative profile, that is minimal cardiac depression, blunting of pain transmission to provide post-operative pain control. But side effects are more and lethal with opioids, and uses are for pain, so alternatives are available. So why to opioid avoid? Because it has got a negative side effect like respiratory depression, nausea, vomiting, pruritus, urinary retention. It suppresses the immune response. It causes cognitive or sleep dysfunction. It increases the addictions and chronic pain. It increases chronic pain when the opioid is administered or withdrawn. Now change the habit. We are not telling to give opioids in your practice, no compulsion. Now we know the problems with opioids. We know there are alternatives and effective modalities are available. So you don't have to be perfect to be amazing. Start opioid-free anesthesia practice in your patient. Common misconceptions are using OFA. Sometimes people are asking me personally that they need multiple infusion. No, there is no requirement. Patient will be in pain, not at all. If you are not using opioids, then patients are given some another medication which will decrease the pain. Expensive multimodal analgesia without opioid is never expensive. So why should we administer opioids? Why should we administer opioid? Safe alternatives are available. So start OFA practice. $1 million question is, what are the alternative to opioid? Replacing opioid with other analgesic will not only reduce the development of opioid addiction, but also lead to better perioperative outcomes and enhance patients' recovery after surgery. So that is why I recommend to start opioid-free practice. Just start in your 10% practice of the opioid-free anesthesia practice from your full practice. And new paradigm came in the market, that is opioid-free analgesia and anesthesia. So first concept came of OFA in 1990, and the main goal of the OFA in 9 words only. And this Barry Fredberg from USA, who was invented ketofol in 26 March 1990, he is grandfather of OFA. He has done 26 years only this OFA practice. So what are their 9 goals? Measure the brain through BIS, preempt the pain through ketamine, and emetic drug abstinence, not using opioids. No much anesthesia, no less anesthesia, only brain fog. This value should be around 50 to 60. So main aim in OFA is to anesthetize brain should not come to know about the pain during skin incision. What else you require? And we have learned that components of anesthesia in our residency, that amnesia, analgesia, sleep and muscle relaxation. And this OFA gives a complete anesthesia circle, that is hypnosis, sympatholysis, amnesia, hemodynamic stability, homeomobility, and neuromuscular blockade. Every drugs are given without OFA, they give total anesthesia circle. So OFA benefits: stable hemodynamics intraoperatively, no respiratory depression, no addiction except for ketamine, less need for post-op ventilation, no nausea and vomiting, no gastrointestinal dysfunction and ileus, no pruritus, no urinary retention, and it prevents the chronic pain also. And European Society of Perioperative Care of the Patients, they also mention advantage of OFA: less PONV, earlier recovery, less sedation, less opioid post-op. Patient like it, surgeon like it, less pain, nurses like it. So what else you require? Anesthetists also should like it. There are 17 benefits of OFA written in the textbook. These are that. Mechanism of OFA drugs are either through the NMDA receptors, either through the GABA receptors, or PG, prostaglandin inhibitors. These are the 3 main mechanisms where the OFA drugs are working. How it works? Method of opioid-free anesthesia. One is management of central sensitization, management of peripheral sensitization, prevention of opioid-induced hyperalgesia, and weight-based dosing of the OFA drugs, particularly ideal body weight. So what is management of central sensitization? Which drugs are using? Propofol, etomidate, substance P inhibition, either through clonidine or dexmedetomidine, They are adrenoreceptor agonist, either with the glutamate antagonist like ketamine and N2O that are NMDA antagonists. And most particularly, we are using now magnesium sulfate, NMDA antagonist, or gabapentinoids, that is pregabalin and gabapentin. What are peripheral sensitization? Either with the local anesthetics like peripheral nerve blocks, lidocaine infusion, we give dexamethasone, and NSAIDs like diclofenac sodium and paracetamol. So OFA indication with its advantage. What are the indications? Narcotic abuse history, acute and chronic opioid addictions, opioid intolerance, morbidly obese patients with obstructive sleep apnea, hyperalgesia, history of chronic pain, immune deficiency, oncology surgery, and inflammatory. Most of the surgeries we can do under opioid-free anesthesia. And their advantages are less analgesic requirement postoperatively, enhanced recovery, decreased postoperative nausea and vomiting, decreased postoperative pulmonary morbidity, decreased histamine release, and patients satisfied. Patients are always satisfied. Some OFA contraindications. Coin has two sides. Absolute, only one if there is an allergy to any adjuvant drugs, and relatives are disorders of autonomic failure, cerebrovascular disease, critical coronary stenosis or acute coronary ischemia, heart block, extreme bradycardia, non-stabilized hypovolemic shock, acute bleeding with significant blood loss. You should avoid giving OFA. Elderly patients and ASA4 patients, very reasonable by giving OFA. So new paradigm came. Older way, opioid was the main drug to give anesthesia practice. Now new way is that either you avoid opioids or don't give opioids. So that is the way. Now these are the multimodal drugs OFA with their advantages. Majority. So which are the drugs we are using in OFA practice? Majority of drugs are used for OFA, including benzodiazepine, propofol, ketamine, etomidate, dexmedetomidine, muscle relaxants, and other adjuvants are easily available in almost all OT and outside OT. And all these drugs can be given to any subset of the population from geriatric to pediatric in any surgical procedure without opioids. And in last 175 years, these are the 68 drugs are invented in our anesthesia armamentarium. And out of these, 55 drugs are in still use. And if we remove these 7 opioids, then we have still 48 drugs to use in our OFA practice. And these are the OFA drugs toolbox: propofol, ketamine, dexmedetomidine, beta blocker, salt muscle relaxant, magnesium sulfate, dexamethasone, lidocaine, clonidine, diclofenac, paracetamol, which I have told earlier. So we will go very little for the individual drugs. Dexamethasone, I called it is a universal weapon for the anesthesiologist. Why? Because it gives antiemetic, anti-nauseatic effect, anti-inflammatory, analgesic, anti-severing, increase the quality of recovery, and no effect on sepsis and sugar in single dose. So these are the infographics of the my drugs. MgSO4, I called it is a intravenous oxygen for anesthesiology. Believe me, I am giving this magnesium sulfate each and every patient of my short GA or long GA or even in spinal anesthesia, because it has got a 32 effects in anesthesia practice, but majors are antihypertensive, bronchodilator, antiarrhythmic, analgesic, anti-seizures, anti-severing, anesthetic adjuvant, antacids, and mild sedatives. I will request you to give magnesium sulfate each and every patient without any fear. This is the MgSO4, this infographics, versatile drug for the anesthetist. My third drug is lidocaine. It is best companion for the anesthesiology. Why? It is analgesic, anti-hyperalgesic, anti-inflammatory, reduce the opioid analgesic consumption, anti-arrhythmics. It improves the patient's outcome and decrease the aerosol and droplet during extubation. I always combine my reversal agent with this lidocaine. Now, best drug available for the OFA practice is the ketamine. It is my first weapon in OFA practice. I call it as a Brahmastra. Why? Because most popular drug for the anesthesiologists across the globe since last 50 years. It is NMDA antagonist, key role and main drug in OFA. Without this drug, OFA is incomplete. Best analgesic, amnesic, opioid sparing effect. Dose less than 0.5 milligram per kilogram reduces the post-operative analgesic needs, and especially seen in the opioid tolerant patient. It has got an anti-hyperalgesic and anti-tolerance effect. This is ketamine infographics. Another drug is propofol. Propofol is It is a switch on, switch off anesthesia, and it has changed the practice in last 30 years from the anesthesia armamentarium. And each and every case, each and every institute, each and every anesthetist have used this propofol. Fourth drug is dexmedetomidine. Dexmedetomidine is a newly came drug since last 10 years. It is an alpha-2 agonist. Dexmedetomidine has hypnotic, sedative, and analgesic properties, and estimated to 7 to 10 times more potent than clonidine. I call it as a most ideal anesthetic agent, IV agent. Most ideal anesthetic agent. Has got opioid sparing effect. Ketodex or Dexket combination is becoming very popular in pediatric opioid-free anesthesia practice. Nowadays, before this dexmedetomidine, we were giving ketofol. Now we are giving Ketodex. Patients are sedated but arousable, alert, and response without uncomfortable, because patients feel that they are under physiological sedation. Conscious sedation is like natural sleep. This drug is becoming widely popular in all parts of the world, in all anesthesia practice. Those who are not using dexmedetomidine, I personally request use this molecule. It is a very good agent. These are the dexmedetomidine infographics. And those who are not using, I have prepared one dexmedetomidine prayer. Hey buddies, I am dexmedetomidine. My pet name is Dex. I am your complete friend to play with you in all games like IV, IM, oral, spinal, and nasal. Now people came with the sublingual dexmedetomidine. But my favorite game is intravenous with all stages like sedation, hypnosis, analgesia, anesthesia. I love to play with small babies to old age players, but during playing with me, be careful. I am very delicate and fall down with the weak players. I can also play in the indoor stadium like ICU patient continuously for 48 hours. I am always available to play with you and allowed me to play with others. Let us play and enjoy with me. Don't neglect me, though I am a new player. Clonidine is like a dexmedetomidine. Now I'm not using clonidine in my practice. Other drugs in OFA practice is paracetamol and diclofenac sodium. Paracetamol is a very good molecule. It goes a preemptive analgesic. It has got a opioid sparing effect. Loading dose is 30 to 50 milligram per kilogram. Maximum is not up to even not exceeding 2 gram. Means give up to 2 gram. Very innocent drug in OFA and can be repeated at every 6-12 hours in the dose of 1000 milligram. Excellent adjuvant in pediatric OFA. Diclofenac sodium. Diclofenac sodium is a powerful NSAIDs in OFA with analgesia and anti-inflammatory action. Now this aqueous solution available, so we are now very much benefited with the IV treatment with the diclofenac. Best is given in a single dose of 1.5 milligram per kilogram IV slowly, and maximum is 150 milligram. Caution with renal, hepatic, pulmonary, and heart failure patient. Here I want to tell you one thumb rule. Always give both drugs before surgical incision to inhibit the prostaglandin receptors. So before you start your anesthesia practice, before you start your anesthesia induction or surgical incision, you give this. If surgical incisions are there and then you give these molecules, then there is no effect on these PG receptors. My favorite drug is esmolol. It gives a opioid sparing effect. It gives a central analgesia, and I called it as an emergency front the anesthesiologist. Why? Because it is highly beta-1 selective and appears to be safe in patients with pulmonary disease. It can be given in pediatric OFA also, and using esmolol during anesthesia maintenance significantly decrease the analgesic anesthetic requirement. This is esmolol infographics. So I was telling you about my Mocha Ice Cube. In my pediatric OFA practice, I developed this Mocha Ice Cube 10 years back. Now it is very much beneficial in this practice. It's a novel combination of 4 drugs, that is midazolam, ondansetron, ketamine, and atropine. I combine all these drugs and put all this solution into deep freezer to form ice, and I give 1 hour before oral I give before induction, means 1 hour before the anesthesia to all my pediatric patients. And after 1 hour, when I go to see these patients, then they are calm, cool, quiet, sleepy. There is no crying, rowdiness, injection fear, or anxiety in both parents as well as in patients. That is, they will allow to give you IV line administration. So in short, OFA is beneficial by without using OFA drugs, means opiate drugs. So OFA gives fast recovery and fast track in enhanced recovery. with good safety profile like early recovery, excellent cost efficient like decreased hospital stay, user friendly, easily accepted by all patients, better outcome, early ambulations, and early oral rehydration with minimal parenteral fluids. If you are not using opioids, then there is no need to give an antiemetics. So I called it is a minimal invasive anesthesia. But some OFA risk with these drugs, bradycardia with dexmedetomidine, hepatic damage with paracetamol, bleeding, hallucination, tachycardia, addiction with ketamine, tinnitus, seizure, and cardiac arrest with lidocaine, sometimes sedation, over sedation with dex, hypertension with magnesium. Once you start with your OFA practice, then you will come to know some how to use these drugs. What methods do you use to reduce the OFA society? Means European Society has given a fantastic article. They think that they came with the additives combined with regional, combined with local infiltration, monitor, increase the propofol or inhalation. Like that, there are some methods of giving this type of the OFA practice. And which additive they were using in OFA? NSAIDs, paracetamol, clonidine, ketamine, lidocaine, magnesium, dexamethasone, dexmedetomidine, gabapentins. We all have discussed. So I have developed one standard OFA inductions. 10 minutes before induction, you give sympathetic block. Either you give propofol or dexmedetomidine. 1 minute prior to induction, you give hypnotic or rapid stress block, or you give lidocaine. And for induction, again, you give propofol. For rapid period reduction, you give magnesium sulfate. And for pain relief, anti-inflammatory agent like dexamethasone, diclofenac sodium, paracetamol. And on maintenance, sometimes you give NMDA antagonist or like ketamine or propofol. So anticholinergic, antiemetic, and antacids are as per choice of the anesthetist, and neuromuscular blocking does if needed for the surgery. If you are intubating that patient, then muscle relaxants, you can use it. And maintenance, sympathetic block, dexmedetomidine or clonidine. For local anesthetic, lidocaine, magnesium sulfate, inhalation agent, propofol infusion, NMDA block with ketamine. You can give IV paracetamol. And for post-operative analgesia, you can give lidocaine, ketamine. You can give nerve blocks or local infiltration. I will tell you about my Optiva, means opiate-free TIVA practice. My base pre-medication in this COVID pandemic to our aerosol and droplets before IMFA induction is dexamethasone, magnesium sulfate, and lidocaine. I call it as a DML mixtures, and I combine in 10 ml syringe. I give very slowly, at least for 5 minutes. Then I give intravenous diclofenac sodium 1 milligram. I put this diclofenac sodium in the paracetamol 1 gram infusion, and I give always before surgical incision. And one of my another invention is KPD-TIVA. I give it for the induction as well as maintenance. Means ketamine, propofol, and dexmedetomidine combination. That is a 1 milligram, and 1 microgram per dose. And combination of all these drugs permits lower dose of the each individual agent. And they are giving excellent analgesia and anesthesia. Decrease the dose of individual, stable hemodynamics, decrease airway complication, rapid recovery. For maintenance, either I give dexmedetomidine 0.7 to 1 microgram or propofol 6 to 8 milligram per kilogram per hour. And I stop this infusion drip 15 minutes before at the end of surgery. And for post-operative pain relief, I am not giving any opioid post-op period. First, I give local infiltration or respective no blocks. I develop one ketacaine drips, that is a ketamine and lidocaine drip for 12 to 24 hours and depends upon surgery. Usually I give ketamine 0.1 to 0.2 milligram per kilogram hour plus lidocaine 1.1 milligram per kilogram hour with monitoring in syringe infusion pump or in the pint. I give paracetamol 1 gram every 12 hours and diclofenac sodium 1 milligram per kilogram every 12 hours IV. So if you tell my patients post-operative up till 42 hours and then there is a no pain, means is almost 0 or less than 10%. So pulse of my OFA practice, I am doing since last year only exclusive OFA practice. In my 90% practice, I use KPD mixtures. I am a maximum users of Dex and ketamine in my area. More than 1,000 cases done in last 2 years. I use nitrous oxide and volatile agents only in my 10% of practice, and I give opiate-free anesthesia to all my patients. For intra-op maintenance, I use Dex infusion, propofol infusion, depends upon surgery, surgical time, and vital parameters. So my economics of drugs in OFA for 2 hour surgery with intubations or with LMA or supraglottic airway, only 1500 rupees for. I'm not using volatile agent. So practically surgical procedure done under OFA is from OT to outside OT and NORA situations, from pediatric to geriatric, and from any surgical to medical specialty. So practically all the procedures, all the surgeries done under OFA practice can be done under OFA practice. But some people are not using the OFA practice because of insufficient guidelines, no training, outcome not improved, limited data, just started newly, they consider it is expensive, and they are not aware of the OFA practice. So my tips for starting OFA is do not administer opioids, and if you want to start OFA practice, so at least you avoid giving OFA in your 90% patients, you start in 10% patients, or opioid sparing anesthesia you start. Communicate in doubt. You ask your colleagues if they are doing OFA practice. Educate yourself by learning some mechanism, these procedures, and keep update with latest. There are now 200 articles on the net about OFA practice since last 5 years. So my conclusion, do we really need SOPN in anesthesia? My answer is no. Opioid crisis epidemic became a known reality since 1990. So the concept of OFA reduced and eventually opioid-free anesthesia will has started. Opioid-free anesthesia is the future of anesthesia. Believe me, in 2030, opioid-free anesthesia will be the king in this anesthesia technique. It is slowly but surely being considered the best way to give GA. There are very few contraindications for opioid-free anesthesia. Multimodal anesthesia, analgesia with no opioid use is becoming popular and new normal method in OFA and Optiva. Replacing opioid with other analgesic will not only reduce the development of opioid addiction, but will also lead to better perioperative outcome and enhance patient recovery. My take-home message, opioids can be replaced by multi-drugs. Post-operative pain management without opioids are viable. Ketamine is the main drug. No bolus of propofol more than 2 milligram per kilogram in OFA. You don't have to be worried. If your OFA is perfect, then better outcome without pain and PONV. To reduce intra blood pressure, use esmolol in your OFA practice. And all these dexamethasone, MgSO4, and lidocaine are main friends of in OFA. So my verdict is, by reducing opioid-related adverse effect, OFA means to enhance optimal perioperative analgesia through reducing pain scores and enabling earlier mobilization with enhanced rehabilitations, faster discharge, and improved patient satisfaction. So OFA will be a game changer in high-risk patients, especially in geriatrics and COPD and obese patients. So let's begin opioid sparing or opioid-free anesthesia with technique of multimodal anesthesia and analgesia. You tell your patients about this, I'm not using OFA in your practice. So nocebo to placebo. You tell them positively. So start opioid anesthesia. It is an insanity doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. Albert Einstein told this. In this era, patient wants opioid-free anesthesia. If not, then start opioid-sparing anesthesia. Start talking with OFA. So 1846, surgeon John Warren tell, gentlemen, this is no humbug when anesthesia invented, first anesthesia given. So my appeal to all this in 2021, my friends, OFA is not humbug. Which steps you have, friend, you reach today, my friends? I won't use OFA to I will use OFA. Join Facebook group of the Indian Society of Opioid Free Anesthesia. Thank you.